Hello and welcome to the install for Linux Mint. In this case, I'm doing it in a virtual machine, but the process is going to be the same. You'll take your disk, put it into your drive, and boot up from CD/DVD. And then you'll be presented with this screen: Start Linux Mint, Compatibility Mode, OEM install, hardware detection, and so on and so forth. I'm going to just start Linux Mint at this point. So we can kind of choose it, press enter. As you can see, it's kind of and jumped about the place for size, but that's fine. Had a bit of a trouble there, but that's fine. It's moving through. It's getting past what it needs to and starting up. As you can see, it's happy now. It's kind of bigger than my actual share screen. So I'm going to resize the share screen and resize everything to make it all fit. There we go. Basically got this. And it looks like it's kind of starting up. Gives a nice little blank screen. And then eventually we'll have a bit more. Again, don't worry about this. If yours takes a little bit longer or something, it's fine. It's just booting up. Still kind of reading from the disk. If you have a physical disk, you'll probably hear it moving around doing its thing. It might try checking network and so on and so forth and a few other bits. But either way, it's going to be pretty much what much just there. So I'm going to move everything over a bit to kind of make sure it's all in focus because at the moment there we go. So now we've got this, we're actually at a desktop now. If we have a look, it's got like, if you're used to Windows, you might think it's like the start menu. It's got all your different applications on and stuff like that. But it also has this install Linux Mint. So if I double click on this, it can then kind of start the installer. As you can see, it's got that little loading thing icon for the mouse cursor. And it'll load up and do its thing. It'll start like a little dialogue in a moment. And there we have this dialogue. So it's saying welcome. You choose your language, click continue. It slowly moves on to the next one where we choose keyboard layout. I'm going to choose UK. Continue. Each of these screens will ask you basically a different question sort of thing in a way. So you just be setting things. I do want to install multimedia codecs just to allow it to play certain video formats and stuff and be able to render websites nicely. So we'll continue from that. It's now preparing all the drivers and the bits and pieces it needs. This is contingent on you having a network connection for certain things, like installing media codecs. It may download some bits and pieces and drivers and other things. So ideally, this requires kind of a system and having network connection. If you are working on a laptop and you don't have like a Wi-Fi connection directly to your home internet, you can actually plug in an Android mobile device and tether it via USB and things like that if you want to. In this case, when you erase the entire disk and install Linux Mint, you could probably do that if it's a fresh system or something you want to kind of nuke and get fresh. Let's install now. So it's saying, hey, erase the entire thing and basically install. Now it's saying, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to be freshly making partitions, nuking everything on the device. If I'm happy with that because it's a fresh device, so continue. But again, if you've got anything that you want to keep, make sure you do your backups first and things like that. In this case, it's guest throw in London. That's close enough for my purposes. It's going to be the same time zone, so I'm just going to continue. This is kind of more for time zones and locale and stuff like that. Now you can input your username. I'm going to have username of Mint. Call it Mint Box. super secret password. This is not a secure one. Make sure you choose one that you remember and that is big enough for you to kind of secure. I'm going to require a password to log in each time as well. And continue. It's now copying all the files over from your DVD. You can take a look down here to get a little bit more granular information, or you can just sit back and watch the sort of slideshow about the thing. This is just showing you some things that you could possibly do with this operating system once it's installed. So you've got quite a few bits and pieces of sort of like tools that you can use, or productivity applications, or gaming, or anything pretty much that you might want to get from a simple operating system. We're going to leave this going, and right now I don't think I'm going to have to click anything for a while, so basically I'm just going to kind of leave this at it. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video here so you're not having to sit through like probably half hour of it just doing this. And then I'll unpause once it's time to kind of do the next steps. Okay, so once the installation is complete, it will jump onto this dialog. Took a little while. I managed to make a cup of coffee, come down, sit down and chill for a bit, and now it's complete. So you can either continue testing the current rendition of it or restart the machine. If we restart the machine, it should then boot into the newly installed Linux Mint on the hard drive. So when we restart, it's going to kind of jump about a bit on size and things like that. It's doing the reboot, it's going to shrink and then grow again to the same sort of size on screen and what again. It's now shutting down, doing its thing. We may need to manually remove the disk as well. That's another thing to think about when you're doing these things. Please remove it. There we go. So please remove installation media. At this point, take the disk out of the drive before you actually do anything with it. Once you've took the disk out of the drive, then it's time to press enter. It'll now start restarting and try and use the hard drive or SSD or whatever to do so. As you can see, it's kind of shrunk again and it's doing its thing. I've got Windows out of the way and the other stuff. Now it's resized again to kind of fit the general size. We can play about with the sizing and stuff and do stuff. In general, we've got stuff doing things. So now it's going to expect you to log in. So we're going to use your actual password, whatever you chose in your initial install, and let it log into the desktop. So now you have your fully fledged desktop application. It's in this case, it's got a wired connection to the network, but obviously depends upon what you're using for your network and so on and so forth. For some reason, it's doing the login again. So I'm typing right now. Interesting. Come to desktop and then it was like, nah. There we go. That's what it should have been. I don't know why that was. That was just a strange glitch. Right, so now it's got the little welcome message. Let's go. I'm going to say don't, I'm going to untick show this dialog and start because otherwise it's just going to pop up every single time. You can have a little look through this, decide on what you want to do with the machine. You can look through the documentation here or get help. So we can close that though for now. I'm going to do a little quick look over the system. So in this case, we have, for want of better things, let's call it a start menu. You can take a look at your Office applications, your multimedia applications, your internet applications, and so on and so forth. Okay. Let's say you've got a web browser, you've got mail client, and a few other bits and pieces. For multimedia, you've got kind of thing to play videos, thing to watch TV on, and stuff like that, music and stuff. Office, you've got basically your normal sort of like, spreadsheet, drawing package, presentation software, and text writing thing. System, we got all the setting stuff and things like that. If you go all applications, you've just got a big list of all the applications in one big list there. So it really depends what you want to do. In this case, we want to make sure that we're up to date. Several ways of doing this. You can kind of go through the systems and the settings and do that. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you a little bit more acclimated to the actual sort of terminal. So I'm going to click on this XFCE terminal. I'm going to use some commands. Notice how it says use sudo command if you want to run as administrator. Now, most of our things, when we're installing things, we're going to run as administrator. So I'm going to do sudo apt, which is the aptitude package manager, update. Now, this is going to go and not necessarily update the computer. It's going to update its database of what files it's got available. Now, you can also look at different aspects of this, like you've got the update manager there to do a similar thing if you want to do it graphically. So there's two different ways you can do this. Notice it's got a little red thing, so it says there are updates that are required or that are available. This is the way of doing it in the terminal. We can go sudo apt update first to make sure that we've got that. It will request your password. It's now pulling the information back, reading the package list and going, okay, do we have any new packages? Notice how it says 275 packages can be upgraded. So similar to what this is saying, if I click on this, you can kind of look for updates and stuff using this. Notice how this is the same sort of concept. It's just doing that, a new version of Update Manager available even. So you can even apply that as an update. But for now, I'm going to close that. I'm going to carry on with this. You can list the upgradable items if you really want to, or we can just upgrade them. So I'm going to do a sudo apt upgrade. To save me saying yes to a bunch of things, I'm going to put -y. Otherwise, it'll just ask you whether you're sure you want to do this. But I do want to do this, so I'm kind of just saying y preemptively towards it so it can get done. This will take a little bit of time. It's doing updates for quite a lot of packages, so I'm going to pause the video here and we'll come back as soon as it's actually done that part. Okay, so this is actually done, but if you'll notice processing triggers for init ramfs tools and init rd image, that means it's actually updated the main kernel. Now the kernel will require a reboot. So there's a few ways of going about this. We can literally close this down. Probably the simplest for you is going to be go to your menu here. It's this sort of power button. We'll click the power button, tell it to restart. Again, it's probably going to kind of do a little bit of jiggery pokery and shift its size, as you can see. And it'll kind of resize as it restarts, sort of thing. Remember, this is on a virtual machine, so on yours, obviously your screen is not going to change physical size, probably. Hopefully not. That would be a bit crazy. But at this point, we've got booting up, doing its thing. This is kind of its boot screen, if you like, where it's kind of doing its thing. I don't know if you can see the minor thing where it's kind of rotating its colors. Then it will kind of give me some sort of login prompt. Now I can say mint and go mint, and then I'll put my super secret password in. Wonder if you can guess what the password is. And then in a moment or two, we'll be literally at desktop. And again, from this desktop, it doesn't look any different. Hopefully you can see that it's kind of on the face value, the GUI looks the same, but it's now been updated. If you notice, there's no little red dot on the update thing now. We can go over to our terminal and type in sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. This would have been another option to do. Tac Y. So it'll basically, the double ampersand actually tells it run this command. If, oh, that probably won't work up there. But if this command were to work, it then says, okay, now you're allowed to, run the next command. You'll need to change that to T. So it's basically just running those two without me having to type one, wait for it, and then type the other. But again, since it's already just been updated, we should basically just get that hit from those things, read the package lists, go to do an upgrade, and there's zero to upgrade, basically. One package can be upgraded apparently, but it's been deferred due to phasing. Now I'm guessing there's certain drivers that are going to get phased out eventually. So there's one that can get upgraded, but there's a issue yet before it really comes into main. So we're in a good situation. We're up to date enough to where we need to be. Now it's up to you. Have a little look around. I'll probably make some videos on installing other software like development software and other things onto this sort of system. But for now, I think we're in a good place to punt and stop and just say, have a look through your start menu, start clicking on things, have a play with things. Try and browse the web, try and sort of get connected to the networks and internet and so on and so forth. It's been a lot of fun making this. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.